all of that.
Yeah, yay!
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another mini episode of our webinars. Hope you've all had a good week. As you will see, I have the devilish duo with me. I have Will and Carl. Let's dive straight in, guys. How has a further week gone since last week? Will, do you want to kick off today?
Yeah, I mean, no news is good news, really, in terms of it. Everything's feeling normal. Just, I've just got used to the way that we work now, and everybody's got used to the way we work now. And I'm sort of surprised that I'm hearing a lot of patients come in. We've got a lot of new patients coming in because their practices are still closed, or they're still working in a different way that doesn't allow them to actually do dentistry. So, I mean, in some ways, that's been good for us as a dental business. We've been kind of mopping up a lot of, broken teeth and people who've had problems who haven't been able to get sorted, and their dental practices still are unable to help them, which really surprised me. I kind of got the feeling that everybody was kind of up and running to some greater or lesser degree, so that if people are having problems, they can still have teeth taken out, or they can still have pulps extirpated. So from a general dentistry point of view, unless, I don't know, you guys probably visit more practices than I do. I don't know whether you're getting that feeling, or whether the places you're going to are all on it and everybody's up and running and making it work.
Well, a lot of our practices are open. I mean, it's just a slow introduction. We've been to a practice this week that looking to get hygienists back in September, I think they said, didn't they? So I think a lot of the practices are opening. It's just, I think they've got, there's a degree of people, much like yourself, that are getting on with it now. But there are still some that are still finding their feet a little. Really, would you say the same, Carl?
Yeah, I think some have really encompassed everything and they're running, and then some are kind of having a very slow walk through treacle and getting, popping the head up and getting used to things. And then I don't think there's any that we work in apart from those that have just been restricted due to regulations over in the old. We keep talking about that place, don't we, mate? The old Wales.
In the old Wales,
yeah.
The old hometown.
Yeah, where they've got slightly, we talked about this before, but yes, slightly different there. We're starting back there Wednesday. Okay. Yeah, so and they've been very open about how that's going to work, and you can feel almost the frustration coming from the team, in sort of how they want to work, but how they have to stick to the regulations that they've been provided, and probably hear what we can do, and well, why can't we do that? But it's I think the levels where they are actually are higher. I think they've got a higher R number. They've had quite a significant number of issues.
And is that kind of stuff coming down from on high, political stuff, or is it?
Do you want to know what it comes down to? What I said before about the I've got to be polite about
the
unevidenced paper that shows that you need that 50. It's why I asked you guys about your fallow time, you and Chris, about that 15-minute fallow time between every appointment, and that's not including an appointment that we might generate a dental aerosol. That's every single appointment, such as a patient walks in and you go hello, and then you've got to wait 15 minutes fallow time
because they've spread lots of disease around by saying hello.
Yeah, I mean, chap. I mean, but I'm interested in that. Is what you were talking about there. I'm with you. I am curious as to why, but great for you guys. I mean, it's excellent, but it is, yeah, strange. I'm just not. I suppose maybe the people that we mix with are just, got it up and ready.
Because I was just wondering if it was more of the bigger machinery of a corporate entity trying to, make everything standardized, as I suppose they sometimes try and do, and just feeling they can't do that, maybe having more people on payrolls and maybe less surgeries, whereas we said before, we're able to make autonomous decisions literally there and then. Tell you what, you work later on this day, I'll have the surgery that day, done.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, and it's no offense meant, but I think the last practice that we're going to be going into is a corporate. So that says something, doesn't it, really? But they've got, like you say, they've got all those mechanisms to go through, and it's but once they get rolling, I think it's a very different story. But yeah, you're probably very, very right, actually.
How are you finding the implant side of things? Are the patients still up for it? Are the referrers still up for it?
It's gone nuts, is what I'd probably say.
Next week we've got a full session of new patients, which we weren't expecting perhaps just yet, but thrilled all the same. Thrilled.
So it's in. So it's great. It's very, very good. I know there were worries and all that sort of stuff, but actually, it's looking at, it's probably wrong, isn't it? But I've looked at the book and gone, oh.
Oh no, I've got to work.
Sorry, Kate. I know, but
Will, what you're doing next week? It sounds like I need another implant.
Yeah, there you go.
It will work.
I'll work.
I'll message you separately.
By the way, I remembered. I didn't know. That's not true. Remembered's not the right word. But I watched the webinar playback a little bit to try and remember what it was that I'd forgotten that I was talking about. And it was a second spike, because you said, do you think there's going to be a second spike? And I just went off at some tangent about talking to patients.
That's unusual, really.
Surprised. I'm amazed you did that.
Shiny.
Thanks both. But so I did a little bit of firstly, to answer your question, no, I didn't think there was going to be a second. There might be a blip, so maybe a spike is the right word. You might get this little dink. But I don't think it's going to be anything like we've experienced previously, purely because you've probably infected most of the people, and you've learnt to some degree how the disease spreads, and we've got all the things that we're doing, such as wearing masks in supermarkets and social distancing and all the things we're doing in the businesses that are running. So it strikes me that if there is something like that, as we relax the lockdown, I mean, you would have expected something from the beach escapade, wouldn't you, really? That opening up those kind of areas, and we've not seen it. And when you look at all the other countries, with a couple of exceptions, places like Italy and other areas, there are very small rise. I mean, Italy hasn't seen a second spike, and I don't think France did, but Spain is seeing a second spike at the moment. Canada saw a second spike, but we're talking about a quarter or less than a quarter of the existing spikes they saw, and it's not deaths, it's just cases.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. Plus, there's more testing, so more cases are going to crop up. But I mean, a lot of the whole lockdown thing was to reduce pressure on the NHS anyway, wasn't it? That was the whole thing. I mean, initially, really, the government was heading towards, well, we either have to go with herd immunity and let it spread around because, it won't kill lots of people, but whether there was mismanagement with care homes or what have you, or hospitals, who knows? We could go on forever about that. That may have had a big effect, and also certain areas where people are all clumped together, which is lower socioeconomic things as well, that kind of stuff. So I think we're probably more likely to see things like outbreaks in factories, for example, like there was one recently, as opposed to outbreaks coming from a beach where, although if you get the right camera shot, it looks like there's a million people on the beach. But in reality, everybody's still a bit like, keep away and we're all outdoors. So, I suspect that, the spikes probably won't come from that.
Yeah. They don't use that photographer for those tourist shots that they show in the brochures. They use that's not the kind of person they want for those, is it? No. We want a beach that looks empty.
Yeah.
Just go away and do it again.
Whereas they can make it look properly packed, can't they? The right angle.
Yeah. Photoshop a few extra people in there.
Get a few people. Yeah.
Take out the masks.
Yeah.
No.
So the spike could, if you're talking about the spike, and I mean, obviously there's months and weeks being thrown around from somebody. So, one person would say November, and obviously that will probably come in time or coincide with the flu vaccination. So it'll be interesting times, really.
Yeah. But it's how it affects us, I guess, is the next question, isn't it? So will there ever be like a shutting up shop of dentistry, even if there is, a significant spike?
I hope not. I mean, Prof. Chappell released a little video. Did you watch it?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting that what he was talking about, and I thought his viewpoint on the role of PPE and how we've been using it, and it seems to have had a very positive effect on protecting us.
Yeah.
And that data that's coming through was quite interesting data. When he was talking about it, certainly when you compare it to the what was the other body of people he was comparing it to? Not the guys in intensive care, because that was the same as us, but the staff that were cleaning down
that was the point I was going to say. The cleaning staff and the auxiliary staff, had, what was it, a 30%?
It was more, wasn't it? 34 plus, something like that.
Yeah. Now, I suppose you don't know. Again, was it coming from the hospital? Is it coming from home? Are those people in lower socioeconomic housing, etc., etc.? There's a whole world of different things. But again, if you take it on face value, and from what I believe, there certainly was, hospitals were one of the hot spots to get COVID, then, I think that probably does. There's sounds like there is a correlation there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's brilliant, and it sounds, backing up what we've talked about all the way along, that, that the PPE that we were using was protective. And the difference will be interesting to see the difference if they can do that. I don't know whether they'll be able to do that in the comparison to what we were wearing prior to COVID, as to what we'll be wearing, sort of what we're wearing now, or being advised to wear. And then with the other data coming out, I mean, I've heard some people, there was an EMS, I should clarify what that is, company that does the scaling machines, P's-on machines, and they did a webinar, and the hygienist on the webinar there was sort of thinking that the FFP2 mask is going to be what we're going to be wearing going forward for AGPs. Now, I don't know whether I'm completely convinced by that, because I seem to have survived for 30 plus years wearing a normal face mask and not have any major issues. It hides my face quite well.
I wasn't going to say anything at all.
Even with a nose like this and nostrils like that.
Roman nose.
Yeah, Roman all over my face.
Really?
Sorry. Yeah.
So with I mean, we were talking again off air about the masks. So obviously the date being that it is today, the 24th. So it's compulsory to wear masks when you go into a bank, into a supermarket, into a blah, blah. And I was only just saying to Carl that I learned today that some of the larger supermarkets, so we are talking, what did I say, Asda and Sainsbury's and the likes of Costa Coffee, they're not going to enforce that.
Didn't you mention Aldi as well?
No, I didn't.
Come on, Aldi.
So it's interesting, really.
You could probably get masks in the middle aisle in Aldi. They might start.
You can,
yeah,
you can.
And I've also seen an advert as well on the telly for masks. There's there's like a Masks Are Us kind of
way
that's going on.
Joking, Will?
No, seriously.
Do you get part exchange?
No, genuinely, I've seen it on TV. I thought that was a sign of the times.
Wow.
I know.
Very much so. But you can still drink your coffee in Costa. It's okay because they're not going to enforce that penalty. So
but you don't have to wear one in a chip shop if you're sitting down to eat your chips.
Or in a pub, having a pint.
Well,
that's where you lot should do your dentistry.
Yeah.
I've decided this.
I mean,
that's find a public house for you both.
It's a strange thing. I mean, have they officially said? I mean, I don't know. You might not be able to answer it, but is that an official thing from the supermarkets where they've actually said we're not going to enforce it if somebody doesn't wear a mask? Is that their official, or is it something?
I don't know. I couldn't answer it fully. It's something I literally looked at just before we came online. But it'd be interesting because they could say that. It's really, I mean, I would imagine it's down to the police. I don't know really if you were stood in Costa and somebody said to you, you haven't got your mask on, that's £100. I
really hope that I cannot, I mean, I don't know. I'd really hope that most people would just go with the flow and wear the masks for not only for their protection, but just to protect the staff that are doing that lovely job of, trying to keep us.
Serving up the skinny mochaccino with soya milk.
Yeah. Still,
maybe it's all.
Still can't figure out why they weren't doing this.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Weeks ago.
So if we equate that to our little dental shops, I mean, one of our protocols at the moment still is the patient comes in, puts on a mask, sanitizes and goes and sits down. Although now anybody who owns a dental practice who's doing that, just leave one mask at a time because people are filling their boots with your masks because now they know they're compulsory everywhere. Again, it's hot property. So,
just like the toilet rolls
were. Like the toilet rolls, that Carl was buying up, by the ton.
Yeah. That was for this. It's one each nostril.
Yeah.
Stop it.
It's true.
Yes, I would imagine there might be a little teeny thing going on.
So those nice old ladies that you think are very trustworthy coming into your practice, they're the worst. They're literally picking up handfuls, shoving them in the little shopping trolley.
Hello, dear.
It's a racket, I'm telling you. So there you go. We've all got very tight now with the mask. It's
very good tip, actually.
Yeah, there we are. So, but then should we? Then are we going to enforce people? I had one patient this week who refused. So the girls went. Somebody out there, he wouldn't put his mask on. Started moaning like it's a conspiracy. Then he came in, started telling me about the conspiracy, and I was like. What'd you do? Because he's going to take it off anyway. Like I 6 inches from my face. So
take that deep breath and breathe out on him without.
I took my mask off first before I did that.
Sorry, Will. Yeah, you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah. So what you're going to do? I think I took the pragmatic view of he's going to be lying 6 inches away with his mouth open. So hey, and I think most staff will tell that. Is it worth the aggro?
Yeah. What reason did he give, Will, if you don't mind sharing?
More that the whole thing is a bit of a conspiracy. It's a mismanagement by the government.
Pretty much. Okay. Yeah.
That sort of thread, which is fair enough. But I guess it's what are you going to do?
Whether it is or isn't, put the mask on, please.
Just put the mask on.
I'm sending another one your way next week. With different reasons.
Okay.
Sorry, no, you didn't get it. Sorry.
I was. Boom.
Right. This is the address. Tell him it's a conspiracy. Don't wear the mask. Let's just test him out, and then he'll talk about it on the webinar.
Yeah. Got it now. Ping.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's been a long week.
It's okay, mate. So actually, how's your week been? Because I haven't asked you, and I don't know whether Kate did in terms of work-wise. You've been placing many. You've been.
Yeah, Harpenden been pretty good.
Yeah.
Plenty of implants going in there. Reasonable amounts at New York Street, but so much dentistry to do there. I've been putting my hands to the pumps and getting on with that. And Dorwich, we are kind of sort of doing all the restorative stuff of the stuff from 3 months ago, really, and just starting to build up some new cases coming in. So yeah, pretty steady, really, you know. But yeah, a lot more dentistry than you know, I ever thought I'd be doing kind of round about now. But you know, that's okay.
Talking about Dorwich, Emma, I shouldn't. Yeah, no, she won't. She never watches this. She popped in for a mask on her way out with Chris. I think Chris was taking her out for a bite to eat, and they forgot that they needed to wear a mask, so she knocked on the door. Thankfully, just like toilet roll, I've got an absolute shed load, thanks to Kate ordering all of it.
Yeah.
So we gained her up, put a mask on her, put a respirator, put a mask on, then shuffle her off back up the road to wherever it was that she was going.
I could give that address out. Little earner there, I feel. Well, that would be fantastic. That would.
Yeah, lovely place.
Get kitted up. It's got your mask. Don't worry about it. Just go to Hull Horton.
So was it branded? Was it one of your branded masks?
Never thought about that. Never thought about that at all.
Hey, Will, wait for it.
What have I done now?
Yeah. Yeah. What a great idea.
Pushed you.
What would be better?
Push you further forward on world domination now. It's
My aim through all of this, Will, is to get you wearing some of our branding material.
I know. I'm going to end up with the t-shirt, or you're going to be able to superimpose it behind me.
It's the mankini that Kate's hoping for. Have you got the blue one?
Like the one I've got under here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've gone for the colour blue for keeping the Horton theme. So I think it's going to suit you both. Excellent. Fantastic. We'll have a lot to talk about on that webinar, I think.
I'm up for that. Yeah, might get the numbers up or down.
Yeah. Can you go into negative numbers? Suddenly the death rate spikes, but it's not due to COVID.
Quick, Kate, change the subject.
Yeah, please.
Well,
get us off this one.
In a lovely hole.
Yeah.
Carry on.
No.
So, is there anything going forward, Will? I mean, I heard you right at the beginning, and it's lovely to hear, really, as in you guys are just getting on with it, which is great. And it's that saying of the new normal, whether people like it or not. So, you're still going through the usual processes that you started over a month ago. Is there anything you've got on the horizon that's changing, or you're introducing next week or in the next couple of weeks?
No, I think it's just kind of more of the same, really. I think it's just for me, you know, you have to still remember that you've got a business to run, you know, as well as, you know, you're sorting out your patients and you're trying to run a business and make it work. So in some ways I feel as though we've got that bit of it sort of moving forwards, but I'm still, you know, probably like you guys, you're always looking down the line and thinking, well, you know, are we still getting our referrals coming in? Are they coming in from the right places? So for me, it's just getting back to the bits and pieces that I always used to do, which is kind of looking down the line and saying, right, okay, now I know that we're operational and we can work and we can run and do our stuff. So let's just get back to business and get on with it, you know, and start working on referrals and trying to build that up again.
I think you're 100% right, Will. I mean, yes, it's been a change for everybody, getting back and learning new things. But what, you know, I really hope people aren't doing is losing sight of exactly what you've just said. There is a business and you will get through all of this. So the emergencies and the people that need seeing, then your business is still there. So you've still got to look after it and still got to take care of it, which for us, as we know, means those referrals and everything else. So yeah, I hope people don't lose sight of it amongst all of this.
No, I mean, how's that? I mean, obviously not into too much detail, but how's it ticking over for you now? Is it starting to, you are sort of keeping your head above water as you're going through this, it's managing okay? Because I mean, I've been talking to a couple of colleagues in the practices that we've been in, and a lot, well, not a lot of them, but I would probably say 15% of them have said, you know what, I'd probably actually be better off just closing the doors profit wise, but I want to be open for the patients. So when we get past this next stage and when they start to get into the fluidity of it, they say then we can start to see the income come back in again. And so they're taking the loss at the moment in the hope that actually the patients stay with them. Obviously, where you work, that's not the case, is it? No, I'm joking. But it's good for Will. But they're not open, are they? So they're not. So exactly that. They're not open. So Will's open. So they're seeing, well, then quite, you would. I mean, my brother was telling me a story. Sorry, I've digressed again. But he was telling me a story of a friend of theirs that had an issue with a bridge. So the practice were unable to help. So she flew home to Hungary and had to take a flight to Hungary to get the bridge repaired, and wanted that rather than having to wait any longer, and then went into the quarantine, was quite happy to do that just to get their teeth sorted out.
Wow.
Which it wasn't wanted dental tourism, but it was enforced dental tourism, because the practice were not in a position where they could help her out. I don't know whether it was due to the restrictions or what. I don't know the finer details, but my brother was telling me about it, chatting about it, and you just think that it just sounded crazy when he was telling me. Absolutely crazy.
That is crazy. I mean, I think we've been surprisingly way more productive than I thought we would be coming back into it. So although I'm not necessarily, doing as much of the type of dentistry that I like doing, I'm still doing an awful lot of dentistry at the moment, which is being, very productive. We're a private practice, so we set our own fees accordingly, and we've never really run on the sort of pile 'em high and cheap kind of thing anyway. We've always tried to go for a slightly lower volume but better quality, and taking your time to be able to do it as well as we can do it. So that takes a lot of pressure off, because if you've got enough of that sort of treatment, then business wise that works very well. It's very satisfying, and the patients feel as though they're getting well looked after. So from my point of view, it's been pretty efficient way of working. Sometimes when you have longer appointments with patients, then they'll mention, something doesn't feel quite right up here, and whereas it might have been, I'll see you in a couple of weeks or 3 months, then we'll take an x-ray, there's something there, we talk through the treatment, they signed up, and off we go. It's very much a lot of that, which takes me back to probably early 2000s or something, doing Chris Barrow type courses, where a lot of it was about communication and not trying to jam in patients here, there, and everywhere, which is the sort of natural bent of almost every dental practice and receptionist, in the country, isn't it? Cram them in here, there, and everywhere, and sometimes that can be very counterproductive as well.
Absolutely.
So I think for anybody from a business point of view, those longer appointments can actually be really, really good in terms of goodwill and talking to your patients, but also in terms of the income that seems to arise from that.
Yeah, it's just that bloody fellow time. That's the only thing you need to sort out. But the longer appointments, I think, are great. I mean, I've always been, you could probably sense from the amount that I chat, but I much prefer the longer appointment times and the chats. And sometimes when we went into the practices, and you'll remember this, Kate, and we told them the amount of time that we request for the consultations, it was almost like, what? But to do a decent consultation, you need a decent amount of time, because there's so much information that you've got to collect and build that rapport with the patient. You just can't do it in 10, 15, 20 minutes. And I agree with you. You pick up on so much not just from the conversations and the ability for you. Well, we all know what it's like when you go to the doctor. You don't want to waste their time, and you might have. Sorry, Kate, but being men, you kind of save all your ailments up for the one visit every 5 years. So you go in and you've got like maybe 2 minutes to get everything out, and then you've forgotten 75% of what it is that you actually want. You walk out and you go, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that kind of odd growth on and that doesn't happen when you've got that time.
The hemorrhoids.
Yeah. Well, they're all right now. At the halo op.
We're going to be cutting this really short.
Which goes back to actually a story again with Emma. And can I say?
All right, that's divulging too much.
No. It was Emma and Giles. I was fairly newly qualified, and Emma. I don't know whether I can say this on air. Anyway, it ended up. I'll tell you the fine details later on, but it ended up with me walking into my surgery, and the lady was sat on one of those cushions with a hole in the middle of it. You know, those donut cushions, and I was looking after her teeth. But off air, I'll tell you the whole story. But thank you, Emma. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much, both of you. I just knew this evening with just you two, there was going to be some element of some naughtiness.
It's always going to get dragged down at some point, isn't it?
I know. Right, guys.
I watched Frankie Boyle last night. It can't be any worse than that.
Oh.
Yeah. If I you know what? No. Mm-mm.
No. Right.
Kate's trying to get rid of us now.
I am trying to get rid of you too, very politely. So, guys, thank you very, very much. Is there anything else? No, Carl, good. Okay.
He's got another hour's soliloquy that he needs to rattle off.
Absolutely. Seriously, guys, thank you so very much. Again, it is good. We've had some lovely feedback, by the way, on very, very different levels. So it is really good. People are still enjoying it out there. Next week, I've already had some messages. Was it Mankini's next week, boys? Is that what you said? Yeah, lovely. That was recorded.
Yeah, we must.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, guys, have a fantastic weekend.
You too.
Thank you very much.
So they do them in extra large for Will.
Take care, guys.
Breathing space in them, so that's all right.
Hey, guys.
Yeah. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.